Future State, Dark Detective, issue 4. By various people. Main story by Mariko Tamaki and Dan Mora, specifically. So this is wrapping up, although with a cliffhanger. So not really that wrapped up. And this is the we actually get a glimpse of Peacekeeper 1 in the first couple of pages of this.
Which
don't recognize who that is at all.
Yeah.
Joe, it was reminding me of, and I don't think it is him, but it was making me think of Kate Kane's dad. I was getting a bit of him.
Oh,
I could see it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, what if he's a Kane?
Yeah, no, honestly, that is probably the best.
It's gotta be Kane, Matt. It's gotta be Kane.
I'm assuming that's a wrestling reference.
It was, yes.
No, well, yeah, that part is, but
yeah.
No, that makes sense. Military, completely structured.
I think the problem is, I don't think this is supposed to be someone we're supposed to recognize after all, because there is no hint as to, even though it treats it like a reveal for us, like, oh, look at his face at last, and we've been speculating for weeks.
Oh, Matt, nice one.
It doesn't actually ever say their name. It doesn't do the thing that comics usually do, where someone will then speak to him and use his actual name, and it'll be bolded so that you know it's important. It never does that, which makes me think that this probably isn't. Kane is probably someone else entirely. It's someone new.
The important thing to note is that he is ginger, and that's the key detail to take away from this.
Look, we're secretly ruling the world.
Yes. Because it's the crazy old man's daughter. She's at work. She hears these orders about tracking what drones have went missing, and we find out throughout the issue that she is actually building intel. She's actually recording conversations. The idea that she can eventually take down the company, take down the magistrate, because they are trying to control everyone and have a completely controlled police state where Big Brother's always listening, all that kind of stuff. The stuff we've been playing with. Bruce is using the apartment as a trap to lure them in, and he's making sure that the old man's safe. So he actually drugs her as well when she comes in, demanding to know where her father is. He takes them out to a van where they're passed out, lures in a bunch of drones and blows them up. And magistrate, or sorry, I keep wanting to say magistrate number 1. He's not magistrate. He's peacekeeper number 1.
He's peacekeeper 1 for the magistrate.
Yes,
and the magistrate is an organization, not
not a person.
Yes, but I keep almost saying magistrate number 1, but peacekeeper number 1 is like, he's alive. It's him. It's the Batman. He's here.
The goddamn Batman.
Yes. So she's not necessarily thrilled about being knocked out, but they kind of have a bit of common ground when he realizes what she's been doing, and does he actually say that he's Batman? I don't think he actually says that. No, he misses Bruce Wayne. He doesn't make he's Batman. He's like, I'm Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
And so he goes to the magistrate's building and starts causing chaos. But so does she. Against his orders, she also shows up and tries to get more evidence that she can broadcast to the world and sort of reveal who they are and what they're doing. But there's a self-destruct, and Peacekeeper 1 and Batman get into a fight.
And Peacekeeper 1 knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Right. We kind of knew that because remember when Batman was like, oh, he knew that killing Bruce Wayne meant Batman was dead. So,
right. Which I think lends more credence to your Kane theory. I don't think it's the dad Kane, but if it's a family member, that makes a lot of sense.
How many Kanes are there left?
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure it's not Kate.
No, not because we've seen Batgirl or Batwoman.
Yes.
In the future state stuff. So, but no, I do think just
she's in Nightwing.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So, no, I definitely think that this definitely is gonna occur in Tamaki's run. I think.
Oh, for sure.
I think a lot of this is seeding things that will be in that run, in the same way that we were talking about, like Tynan's picking up a lot of, okay, this is the birth of the magistrate systems and everything like that. I do suspect that Tamaki stuff will be, okay, we're gonna establish who this Peacekeeper 1 is and go from there.
Yeah, I suspect so.
But wait, isn't Tynan doing Peacekeeper 1?
Oh, maybe
was that just a general Batman?
I'm not entirely sure.
Okay.
Yeah. But I do actually really like the sequence towards the end here where the fight's happening, because the countdown that's happening on each page, sort of the distorted digital clock.
Yeah, it starts at about 3 minutes or so, I think, right? Or whatever it is.
And it sort of jumps down sort of, random increments as like everyone's like, the woman, the daughter's running from the building, she swallows her USB drive so that the droids and whatnot don't get to it. Batman's fighting Peacekeeper 1, a lot of explosions. The art is really good in this issue. The only thing that suffers with the art is that I get so used to having those gorgeous pages of Batman against all the neon lights, and there's not a lot of that in this issue, just because of what's happening.
There's not a lot of that, but that's not a fault of the art, really. No. It's just a fault of the locations they're in, that it doesn't call for it. I do think the art is
it's
very pretty.
The best part of the story, though.
It also shows some restraint on the creative team to be like, hey, those looked rad. We should do that all the time.
That
that
page near the end where she's getting the USB stick in. I think the colors and that, it's so like flat with all these like reds and oranges. It's absolutely gorgeous. And then it's followed by this 2-page splash with everything kind of shattered. With all the panels in various places. Absolutely gorgeous. Because I actually think the story is relatively unfulfilling as an ending to this 4-part story. I'm like, okay, fine.
It ended with, it ends with a bang, literally, because the building explodes. But
yes,
but it doesn't end with like a big, like meaty kind of moment that I thought it would, in the sense that I like this ending. If this was just like part 4 of 6, I'd be like, yes, this makes sense.
Right.
But it's technically the end of this for now, which makes me think that we're definitely going to get a continuation of this, even this part of the timeline, whether that's in Detective, whether that's in that Future State Gotham book at some point.
Yeah.
I agree with that. We'll probably get more. But as just a 4-issue series in its own right, this ending is relatively underwhelming. But the art is goddamn gorgeous, especially at the end here of this issue, where it is building up to these final few pages. I think they are some of the best pages in this issue.
I do think it makes me quite confident about Tamaki on Detective, though.
I never really had much worry about that, though.
Neither did I, admittedly, because I like her work anyway. But
it was always Tamaki. And is Dan Morrow doing that?
Yeah.
I thought so, because I know Once and Future, which he's doing with Gillen, is taking a 3-month break between arcs, presumably so he can do the first arc of Detective. So I'll probably only have him for an arc, admittedly, but that team alone is that was enough to get me on board without these 4 issues.
Yeah. So, yeah. I enjoyed it. I thought it was well written. I thought it was paced very well. Even though, ultimately the story of these 4 chapters isn't really much, other than just this is the type of police state. This is sort of the nanotech they're using to spy on everyone, and Batman's trying to wage war on them. That's ultimately what the whole story boils down to.
Yeah,
that's a bit disappointing to me.
It's kind of hard when you have like this, whatever Future State is, you only have a limited time to tell stories. So I kind of, between this and even the next Batman, they don't feel like contained stories.
Yeah, they're clearly the start of something that's continuing in some form.
I think the Gotham section of Future State is, to me at least, the most underwhelming, in that it's the most open-ended. It's the one that feels like, okay, we're definitely continuing this, so you don't have to tie things up neatly.
Joe, what's so funny though is I actually think it was the best corner though in terms of like the overall mood and tone, art quality, writing quality. Like, obviously I'm not saying there was no other good examples, but it feels like everything was so, even the backups. I mean, the Gotham section had some of the best backups.
I mean,
the whole
I'm
thing.
going to get to the back of this one. I'm not going to spill my thoughts on it too much, but I think the backup in this issue is better than the main story, and that is possibly the only time in all of Future State I've said that.
Well, Carl's a big Jason Todd fan, Matt, so that makes sense.
Yes, I know.
Screw you all.
But no, yeah. So like, and just like with, again, I have to know how the timeline works. So what happens to Bruce after this that leads to him showing up in Catwoman? Where does that take place?
I suspect he gets nabbed here, and that's why they've got him on the train. So no one knows Batman's alive yet, because that's a surprise to a lot of people on the train. So I suspect that this leads almost directly into Catwoman. So yeah, maybe this does kind of, you have to connect the dots a little bit yourself, but this might be where he gets captured.
That's fine if you're looking at it as an overall story, but that's still, as a book, if I was just reading Dark Detective, I'd probably be pretty disappointed by this ending.
I mean, I think it's pretty clear that Future State in general was never designed to be a lot of contained, finished things.
Well, that's the thing. Some things really are.
Right. So you could do that. You could contain things.
And I think probably they should. I think the better choice would have been do contain them, but leave them open that you can do more story later if you want to. Don't be wrong. Not saying close it off completely.
I'm not arguing that that's not the right choice, but clearly this was never built that way in mind from the start.
I think specifically the Gotham section was never built that way, and I think that's a mistake because I think other sections were built with let's just tell a 2 to 4 issue story, and those have probably been my favorite sections of Future State. Even though if this was an ongoing book, I would like it a lot more. But as a 4 issue mini, I judge it on a different scale because of. I expect it to be a 4 issue mini, and because of that, I am a lot more disappointed by it. Even though I really like the team, art is gorgeous, and I am kind of excited to see it continued at some point.
Yes. Right. What are you giving this main story?
I'm gonna give this one a 7.5.
Connor?
6.5 from me.
I'm gonna agree with Matt in the 7.5. I think the ending being kind of a non-ending is why it's there, but I think it's still really well told. The art's really good, and I thought the pacing was fantastic as far as an action issue goes. So I am excited to explore more in this world. So if that was its purpose, it succeeded well enough. So the backup story, which I did read, this backup.
Good.
So I mean, I think it's interesting though that again it was the Gotham books where. Most of the other books that had backups, I kind of didn't read a lot of those backups in the second month. I just didn't want to.
Hit or miss for me, because I didn't in like the next Batman. The last issue of that, I didn't read any. Whereas, I did in this, obviously. So.
Yeah, but I don't know if I did in the last next Batman, but in the third next Batman, I read the next parts of those, and I read the backup in the last Dark Detective, which was different from this one. So. I've read most of the backups for the Bat books, which is just because I wanted to, because they were good.
I wonder if whoever's the group editor for the Bat books is maybe just, I won't say doing a better job, but has a bit more freedom in that. Clearly, as we were just saying, the Gotham section is clearly where they're going to be continuing Future State stories for definite. Whereas maybe the others were a bit more open-ended, so they had a bit more freedom in their backups.
I don't know about that. It might even be the opposite in a weird way. Like, I feel like they have more. Like, there's more of an effort for everything to be in a coherent corner with all these backups, and they all fit together nicely. Plus, they've got maybe a better choice of creative teams. I don't know. Whereas a lot of the other backups feel a bit more just kind of whatever.
Okay, so you're saying like at least like. In this example here, Red Hood is clearly Gotham, and clearly Batman related,
as
opposed to Mr. Miracle or Black Racer in the Superman book.
And on that subject, I mean, wasn't it the Superman backups where two of them had a very similar like plot beat?
They were, they both had time loops as being a plot device,
and so that to me that says that there was almost no editorial oversight, like making sure they all fit together. It was just everyone go away and write something, and we'll just. I mean,
I was saying this was better editorial anyway, so you're kind of agreeing with me, even though you were. I'm saying it's better because it's more controlled, and not that they're giving the writers more freedom. It's that there's actually more reining in, and right. But that's what I'm saying, because they were I said it was better editorial because they had planned on continuing this. So because they had more plans, they maybe focused on it a bit more.
Aye.
But yeah, I mean, either way, I think a lot of the backups in the Batman stuff have been.
Everyone note down. Reasonable. I was more correct than Connor, and we can move on with our lives. All right.
I was just getting Mr. Dr. Evil vibes when you just went right.
So this is the Red Hood and Ravager story, where he's got a hit out on now from the magistrate, and he actually thinks it's a mistake at first, and he calls up like the home office is like, hey, why is there a hit out on me? And like, oh, that's a mistake, but maybe you should turn yourself in and we can fix. And obviously, whoever's on the other end is trying to lure him in as a trap.
Mm-hmm.
So I was actually oddly kind of disappointed at the end when it turned out it was just kind of a weird error. Apparently, it was like,
what was it? Because it seemed to me that White Rabbit is like the magistrate's also working with the underground.
Yeah, I don't think it was an error. I think it was more just
they were burning him.
Once they were caught out by the end, they were like, well, let's get him back on side.
Yeah.
I guess that works.
I should mention the creative team for this half.
Uh-huh. Make Pete say it.
Yeah.
On, Josh Williamson and Giannis.
There you go.
Milo Noyanis.
Yeah.
On
Giannis. Yeah. There you go. I will say real quick too, I enjoyed the art in the second half more than the first half. Like
that's a really bold statement.
That is bold. I mean,
wait. He said this story.
Of this story. Of the Red Hood.
Okay, all right.
I thought you meant of this issue as well.
No. If you remember the last time, I felt like a lot of the facial expressions and stuff were blank and very Tintin-esque. Here, I don't know if it's because of the action or just the different breakdowns, or I knew kind of what to expect. I enjoy the art on this side a little bit more.
And anytime Red Hood has that, whatever the spinny nunchuck with the scythe on the end is called, I'm sure it has an actual name.
It's a ninja style weapon. I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah. Whenever he has that, it looks goddamn fantastic.
I always say it's like a Kurigama or something like that.
Let's see.
I mean, you may well be right. Who knows?
I'm pretty sure I used it in Neo. I'm just trying to remember what it was called.
I think it was in Neo, which is why I was going to say you definitely know where it's from.
Let's see. It's loading. He's close. A Kusarigama.
There we go. I knew it was something like that. Kusarigama.
Again, which translates to chain sickle, which is exactly what it is.
It exactly is a chain sickle.
Yeah.
All of the action with that looks. Oh yes.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, the art's very good here for movement. So anytime he's on the bike and he's racing around, or Rose is chasing him, for some reason, Red Hood makes the choice to put on the Mad Hatter version of the Red Hood helmet.
I also thought this was a really weird choice at first, and I was like, why has he done this? It's not until it gets to when Ravager shows back up that I understood it.
Obviously, he's counting on her precogging ability.
Her seeing the future enough that they'll end up in this place, and that's why he's put it on to like guarantee what would happen and take away his free will essentially to influence the future and make it that no, it'll definitely be whatever she saw.
Yeah, there's I actually did laugh out loud at one point here because when Rose shows up, when he's here meeting White Rabbit, because it's not actually Mad Hatter. She's kind of stealing Mad Hatter's tech, and is distributing it and so on. And she was working with the magistrate for a bit, but then she went rogue because that got boring. There's a whole thing. But there's a moment here that made me laugh where she shows up, and at first it's like, oh, is she going to just turn on Red Hood? Because I've been teasing that all issue that she might turn him in for the reward because it's so much money. And White Rabbit says to Red Hood, who's got the main control helmet on, kill her. And Rose says, we've danced before. Who do you think taught him all of his best moves? And White Rabbit goes, Batman. And she goes, ouch. And she says, it don't work. And she makes this explanation of one of my upgrades to the Mad Hatter tech is it unlocks all the deep things we get, bogged down.
I hope he doesn't have any repressed issues.
Yeah, and Rose just dropped. I mean, it's censored, but she's clearly just dropped an F-bomb, and that made me laugh. Her going shit.
Honestly, Rose is probably my favorite part of this story. Right at the start, when the bounty comes up, she's like, oh, Bill could retire with that kind of money, and then it pulls out and he's already gone, and she goes, oh, foreplay, and with this smile. I'm like, oh, okay.
That was funny. And I think what's coming clear here is if you want us to like a Red Hood book, you make it a Rose book that just happens to start Red Hood. And then it's okay. Then it's funny.
And I will say, as much as I like this art, and I think it's great, no one can save that stupid tall helmet.
Oh, the tall helmet's silly, yeah.
And I think that's
goddamn terrible.
And I think that's the point of it, though, right? Like, it's so ridiculous.
It's so stupid. I can't look at it and take it seriously.
Yeah, So anyway, of course, eventually helmet gets broken off. Rose hits it, and they get into a big fight with all the bad guys, and they have to run up the building.
Again, there's a lot of chemistry between them, though. There's the point where she hits it with the sword to smash it intentionally, and he's like, free from the text. Oh, I knew you'd find me. So you're lucky I have a crush on you. And it's just, oh, okay, I'm really getting this pairing. This is probably this pairing, which I do think comes from Taylor. I don't remember it ever happening before that.
No,
is
I'll credit Taylor.
The best thing to ever happen to Jason Todd.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
That's
why I like Williamson, because he made this work, right? Like everything. I shouldn't like this story whatsoever because it's Jason Todd. And it's it's whatever. It's a backup. So, but like I feel like Williamson's like the sense of relationship between the two, he just nails. So and nothing feels forced with them. Right. Like it feels very natural. And
even to give Williamson more credit still, which I feel like I need to give him some credit because I was very harsh on the ending of his Flash stuff, even more so than
Connor was harsh on something. No,
and I stand by my criticism and dropping of Flash. I want to make that clear. I do not regret that whatsoever. But at the end of this story, Jason has an interaction with what is very, very heavily implied to be Batman.
Yeah, the mysterious off-camera person that he's actually working for to take down the magistrate from the inside. Yes, he's working with someone, and obviously your mind goes to Batman's the one in the alley he's talking to, but it never reveals it. It never reveals who he's talking to.
It doesn't, but the final line of dialogue in the book is the sun's out, you better get to bed, and there's a very heavy implication that this is Bruce. And as someone who has read far more Red Hood than would ever care to admit, all of the stuff in that book, whenever he was even semi-friendly with Bruce, felt wrong.
Yeah.
Felt forced. Whereas this here, like against a greater good, sort of like, for a greater good sort of premise, feels like a really natural use of Bruce kind of accepting Jason to some extent. He's the man on the inside without also betraying what Jason as Red Hood kind of is.
Yeah.
It feels like a really smart use of that relationship.
Solid backup. Shockingly, we're all positive on a Red Hood story.
I know.
Yeah.
Matt, what are you giving the Red Hood story?
I'm gonna give this one an 8.
Connor?
8.5 for me. And for the record, Matt also gave this backup higher than he did the main story.
Well, I'm going to continue that trend because I'm also going to give it an 8. Very good action and motion in the art and the pacing. The chemistry between Rose and Red Hood, very good. So I can't really fault. I suppose if we're rating the book as a whole, Matt, where are you going?
I'm doing my math right now. So I guess I gotta give a whole, because we don't do we're more than a 0.5, less than a 0.5. Yeah. So I'll round up and I'll give it an 8.
Connor?
I'll split the difference between mine and go with the 7.5.
I will concur with Matt and round up to the 8, because ultimately I was quite happy with my experience reading the book.
Yeah.
So.